Good afternoon and welcome to join us today here on Multi TV. My name is Kwabna Chenchen. Coming up this hour, Chief Executive Officer of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission admits measuring worker productivity against pay should have been considered before implementing the single spine pay policy. President of the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs, Naba Sirigu Bewong, says the Regional House of Chiefs failed in dealing with matters leading to the current chieftaincy tension in Bolgatanga. Governance and security analyst urges President Mahama to consult with committee responsible for ex gratia before seeking to abolish emoluments for Article 17 holders. There's also business, sports, and international news in this package. Stay with us. The Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, George Smith Graham, has indicated the Commission is embarking on major reforms in the public sector to effectively monitor workers and link productivity to pay. Speaking on the Super Morning Show on Joy FM, Mr. Graham admitted the reforms should have taken place long ago before the implementation of the single spine pay policy.
People see the public service as a place where they have saved jobs and all that. Just because the systems we are referring to are not there. And if the systems are not there, how then do you sanction the person? What target did you give to the person from the beginning for you to come back and say you didn't even perform the target? Are you going to sanction the person because the person comes to the office and all you do is you ask the person to go and buy watch for me, go and buy cocoa for me, and go and buy, and you send the person one day and the person says, I won't go. So then insolence, I fired you. That is where the difficulty is. And if that is not there, and you even move from the lower example that I've given to the top, and you say somebody is not performing, when you've not given the person any target and a role to play, how then do you sanction the person? If you sanction somebody who's at the top there, because the person has done or did not do one thing or the other, in our country today, politics will come into play. They will say that because the person belongs to one political party or the other, that's the reason why the person has been sanctioned. We made a mistake just bringing the pay reform without reforming the public sector. Reforming the public sector should have been the first thing. You reform any pay reform anywhere. You make sure things are right, the grading is right, people know their job content, they have their job descriptions, they have everything, and then you come and do this. Now you go and do a job evaluation on that same awkward system. It means that the inefficiencies in the public service, what you have translated onto the new structure. The person comes and says, I'm a driver. And why is that I'm on a lower grade than this person who is also a driver? But the evaluation showed that he's a driver but he has no car. This person is a driver who is always on the road going on a trek, and so the grade shows clearly. You don't know, because we are all drivers, you have to be on the same level. You go and put them on the same level. You've disadvantaged this man who is always on the road working, and whilst he is sitting in the office with without a vehicle.
The president of the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs, Naba Sirigu Bewong, has admitted the House has failed in resolving matters which have led to the brewing tension in Bolgatanga. 2 persons have been enskinned as chief of the Bolgatanga Traditional Council. Now, this has resulted in confusion between the 2 factions claiming heirs to the skin. The enskinment of a new chief of the council have been suspended by the Regional House of Chiefs.
The position of the Regional House of Chiefs is that the 2 factions have to submit their chieftaincy declaration forms. We call them CDF forms. When we receive it, we will study them carefully and make a decision as to who is the paramount chief of all them. They go through the processes. We receive it, our research committee looks into it, submits their recommendation to the full house deliberates, and then say, fine, Mr. A or Mr. B is the paramount chief. Whoever is aggrieved by the decision of the House can appeal.
As things stand now, two people are holding themselves as chief.
Yes.
What is going to be done immediately to resolve that?
Yeah, so the House is now waiting for them. The House is waiting for the two chiefs to submit their CDF forms from the traditional councils or from the regional house. It's a form to form. Before the House of Chiefs recognizes a paramount chief or a divisional chief or a queen mother, they have to go through this process of formally registering, filing the forms, CDF forms. We go through it, and if there are no controversies, we submit it to National House of Chiefs. They go through the same procedure. And when it's approved, it is there that the regional house will now be empowered to invite High Court judge or supervising judge to administer the oaths, 3 oaths. And that is the final, that is where we recognize. Until this process is done, the House cannot take any position. We are just waiting for them. They know the procedures. So what we're waiting is for the two chiefs to submit in their CDF forms, and we'll go through the process.
So as things stand now, the people of Bolgatanga do not have a chief. Is that the case?
Yeah, right now, with the House, they are both claimed, but the House has not recognized any of them yet until they go through these processes. Until they go through, this is the legal process. The two chiefs have to submit in their CDS forms for approval.
Executive Director of the Ghana Institute of Governance and Security, David Agbe, has urged President Mahama to consult with the committee responsible for ex gratia for Article 71 holders before seeking to abolish emoluments due them. His urge comes at the back of a call on organized labor by the President John Dramani Mahama to support government's decision to abolish emoluments for Article 71 office holders. He spoke to me earlier on News Desk.
I must say that the president call is a good call, but however, what the president, I know and I'm sure he is aware that he has an obligation to the Constitution. What does the Constitution say? What does the laws of the land say? And so that is the bottom line of these, debates. The Constitution prescribes that these office holders, they have a certain entitlement. And so if the president wants to abolish it, the president must follow the Constitution. Although the Constitution gives him a room that the determination of the emolument, the president will appoint a 5-member, and that 5-member will determine the emolument for all these office holders. So one would have expected that by now that committee would have come to the table to agree with the president that yes, Mr. President, it is about time that we abolish this emolument to all the office holders. If all those consultations has not been done, if the Council of State has not also advised the president, then one may say that the pronouncement by the president is what in political science we will call a symbolic statement.
So as of now, it appears to be the case that the president is getting ahead of himself. He's probably contravening the Constitution. Is that the case?
Yes, if the president has not appointed a 5-member committee as the Constitution stipulates, then I think that the president is saying what must be said, but in political science we will call it a symbolic statement. A symbolic statement are statements that does not see the light of the day, but because of the moment, because the public purse is so such that the government is facing financial difficulties, the president would like to tell the public that yes, we have the ambition, we have the willpower to do certain things. However, if the public does not support us, we cannot do it. And so I think that is the way I see the statement. But I think that the president has a legitimate right to ensure that we all respect the Constitution, and he has a right as the president to also form a committee such that the committee committee will be able to look at all the analysis and come to the conclusion that yes, Article 71 office, holders, it is about time that we abolish it. It is about time that we all come to the realization that yes, it is milking the coffers of the nation. So we need to do something about it.
The civil society platform on oil and gas is demanding full disclosure on the financial agreement to procure power barges from Turkey. The platform, made up of a coalition of civil society groups, also questions the truthfulness of President Mohammed's claim during the Midday parade that the power crisis has nothing to do with money. The platform has issued a statement on the matter, and my colleague Fred Smith highlighted some interesting aspects of the statement earlier on News Desk.
Well, the statement points to a report by the World Bank. It's titled Energizing Economic Growth in Ghana, Making the Power and Petroleum Sectors Rise to the Challenge. In this, the World Bank attributes the current power crisis to the lack of public funds to buy fuel, if you like, to power the generators so we can have electricity. So the report actually states that funding, or the lack of it, has something to do with the power crisis that we're facing today. So in effect, government has always denied that indeed it is a financial problem. But the World Bank in this report is saying that, well, financing has something to do with it, and therefore the forum is asking government to come out to fully disclose to us what the problem really is and what is involved in this car power deal to bring in power badges.
So they are essentially saying that the president is lying to us? Is that the case?
Well, they're not so sure about it because the World Bank statement report is one, the statement from our government is another. So they want government to come out and clear the air on what's happening. It may be that the World Bank got it all wrong. It may also be that our government is lying.
I see. So what else does the statement speak of?
Well, they talked about visiting Turkey, car power badge, where the power badges are being constructed, and they got to know that even though in June 2014 we had reached an agreement to bring in the power badges, it was only in April, just last month, that the financial arrangements for that was concluded, and therefore they're also they're saying that it's very curious that it's taking close to a year for the financing arrangements to be done, even though the agreement itself took place last year in June 2014. They want government to also come out clean on that as well.
Now, I'm reading here that they also want some full disclosure regarding the contracts. Is that the case?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've talked about. Okay. The power badges contract. The agreement was June 2014, but the financing for it was concluded in April 2015.
Okay, I was thinking they were looking at the contract length, for instance. Some have mentioned that, while going for a 10-year
well, the statement doesn't touch on that, but at least if we have the disclosure, the full disclosure on this, I'm sure all of these things will be made public. Already, there are moves in Parliament to get the statement, the whole agreement to be scrutinized by Parliament, and therefore all of these are part of the process, and I'm sure if the government does the disclosure, or even if they present the deal to Parliament, it will end up in exposing some of these issues. If for 10 years we are creating a power badge that we may need for only 2 or 3 years whilst we resolve our power challenges.
Taking a break here on Joy News Today. We're back. Welcome back. Now, the 13-year-old boy who used his father's gun to shoot and kill 2 children at Ejumako in the central region has been provisionally charged with murder. His father has also been charged with negligence. This comes as the police prepare the two for court tomorrow for them to be remanded. The shooting occurred on Saturday when the boy picked his father's gun and playfully shot the victims to death. Ejumako District Police Commander Chief Superintendent Prosper Alija tells Joy News the police have also started sensitizing the residents on the need to keep their guns from children.
This very case is non-bailable offense, and therefore we have to put them before court for the court to give us some time to finish with our investigation.
What have you charged the two with?
The father negligently exposing the rifle and the boy provisional charge of murder.
You understand that the boy is above 12 years.
Yes.
How are you going to handle it?
As of now, he's in juvenile custody. We have juvenile cells there.
Have you spoken to the mother of this boy? What has been the reaction?
It's so terrible, but we are comforting them. We are counseling them. I've been there twice. In the first instance, the mother, we brought her to the station. She is also confused. And later on, we asked that she should go back home and look after the other siblings.
What about the family of the victims, the two other boys? Are they from the same mother?
No. Separate parents.
What have they been telling you?
Terrible. We promised them that the law will take its course, and therefore they should be calm. They should not take the law into their hands and try to revenge.
We understand the community has been thrown into a state of shock. How is the police handling that?
Yeah, we are talking to opinion leaders and the chiefs to calm them down. The mood is now okay. Calm returns, and everybody is going about its duty. They are now going to be very particular with how to handle the guns in their rooms, especially loading and offloading. It should not be at the reach of the children. I'm educating them now. I have to do my education.
An alleged armed robber has been killed and butchered at Kaswa Nyenyano in the central region. The man, believed to be in his mid-20s, is said to have been beaten up and subsequently butchered by some residents around 1 a.m. today. An eyewitness, Richard Kofi Afisa, gave an account of the incidents earlier on Newsdesk.
Today at exactly 7:30 a.m. this morning, I heard a criminal has been caught at Gomwa Nyenyano in the Gomwa East District, and he has been butchered. And upon my investigation, I got he's around the age of 22, and his name is called Junior or Kobe. That's how they call him. But upon my investigation, I got to also know that they were in a group of 6, of which after the hands came out, the 5 of them ran, and he was the only person being called. I went straight to the Gomwa police station, and I met only one personnel over there. The policeman told me that they don't have car and the personnel are not there, so the person should be bleeding and be there. When they get car, they're going to take the person to the hospital. I went back to the police station, and the same answer was given to me again. So by the time I came to where the scene was, I saw that the criminal has been taken to the hospital now. I'm at the hospital now, and I've seen 2 policemen over there. I went to them and I asked them, why is it that during the event they didn't come, and now the person has been taken to the police station? They are now there. They were saying that why is it that we were there and we saw the criminal being lynched over there, we did not take the person to the hospital, but rather we were waiting for them, the policemen, to come. This is what is going on at Gomwa right now.
I see. Richard, you tell me you are at the hospital currently. Is that the case?
Yeah, I'm at the hospital.
Okay. Have you by any chance seen any family member of this man who has been killed?
Yeah, I've seen the grandmother of the guy, but the grandmother is not in the mood to talk right now. I went to her at the scene, and the way she was behaving towards me, she said she's not ready to talk to any media person. So, and the entire family, those the grandmother came with them, they said they are not ready to talk to anybody. They are in seriously bad state now, so they said they are not ready to talk to me.
Okay, Richard, again, let's speak of this person who has been killed. This 22-year-old boy. You say his name is Kobe?
Yeah, Kobe or Junior.
Kobe or Junior. What have residents been telling you about him? What sort of person is he?
Yeah, I know him to be one of the criminals in the Gomwa, but actually he traveled.
Is that what the residents are telling you, that he's a known criminal in the area?
Yeah, that's what they told me. They said last three days, he has gone to a certain woman around our chief, the paramount chief's house. They went there, a woman around there, they went there to steal some provision store, and due to that, they decided to trace those who are doing that. So upon that, they got to catch this guy, and he has been lynched and butchered. I see.
So he's a thief and not really an armed robber?
No, he is with gadgets. He is with gadgets. He is with sharp gadget, of which when he meets you, he can do whatever, anything he wants to do with you with that sharp gadget.
KJTR traders at a press conference today are demanding the immediate government intervention in the relocation of traders as they accuse the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly of using the ongoing registration to satisfy their cronies. I'm joined on the telephone now by Erastus Asayedonko with much more on this. So, Erastus, what are the traders saying?
Well, the traders are saying in this press conference that they need government intervention immediately to ensure proper implementation of the relocation exercise and even the location of traders from the CGTR to allow the central market redevelopment project to go on. If you realize there's currently an ongoing registration of traders at the KGTR terminal to enable the assembly give them allocate shops for them to be relocated. Now they are saying that the registration is being done and they are registering their cronies instead of people who really trade at the KGTR terminal. I have with me an executive member, Mr. Frempong Kwatin. Let me ask him briefly what their grievances are. Now tell me what your grievances are saying.
Our grievances are so simple. What we need, one, we need a comprehensive registration whereby we can check the claim. Then they can also rely upon the data that we also have. You start the KMA registration. Why? Situation. I say situation in the sense that we have approved to say that they brought people who are not in KGTR into the form or into the registration. And because that they don't receive anything to go by, so that we can cross-check. The only thing that with us is we are waiting for their completion and also come out with our completion. Then we can compare. Then we can pinpoint that, okay, A, B, C, D are not our peers.
You're also saying that you have letters indicating they have served the transport already. They will be relocated there.
What is the problem with that? We have nothing against the relocation of our transport. We normally do that.
Erastus, your line is not too clear. I'm hoping you could reposition yourself so we could hear you properly. Okay. My colleague Erastus Asayedonko's line is not too clear. We'll try and get him back on the line and bring you back that story when we do. But as of now, let's do some other stories. Now, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Ebenezer Piadencha, says calls for the National Health Insurance subscribers to pay more for the sustenance of the scheme are in order, considering the challenges facing it at the moment. Now, the failure of the National Health Insurance Authority to regularly settle the claims of service providers has resulted in situations where subscribers have been given second-grade treatment or, in some instances, denied service altogether. In an exclusive interview with Joy News, Dr. Ebenezer Piadencha said the only way out will be for subscribers to pay higher premiums.
We're very happy that we got additional doctors to beef up our numbers. Readily, we have certain areas which are vacant, especially the areas I mentioned, the border town areas. If you go to Elubo area, Enchi, you go to Bole, Tumu, you pass around to Gambaga, then Karachi, Kita area. We need to fill all those places. There are so many areas where we have only one-man doctor. In fact, about 60% of the health facilities that we have about one or two doctors there. There is a gap. Our doctor population ratio, we have one doctor to about 9,000. And that is too high for a middle income like us. And we're hoping that it should come to 1 to 6,000. So as they come out, if you get 1,000 more, it will drop to that level. People don't see themselves contributing toward the insurance scheme. And if you ask yourself, 10 years ago, you were paying maybe 7 Ghana cedis. It hasn't changed. It's still the same. And then the premium or the benefit package has increased. So we should rather be encouraging people that let us pay more. So one way of paying more is that we increase the premium. Another way of paying more is that we increase the co-payment. It means the government is able to take care of this and we take care of the other part. Otherwise, say, this is what I have for you. The other one is a revolving part. So I think we shouldn't just easily condemn. It depends on how they approach it. But the explanation should come to people, and they should also be prepared to support government in the institutions in providing help for themselves.
So you also support the idea that we must be prepared to pay more for the sustainability of the scheme, because
as it is, I mean, there's no way that you have 95% of your benefit on the insurance scheme. It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that you also pay maybe pittance and then you use that card in the village, and then use the same card to access services at tertiary level like a Kolibu. It doesn't happen that way. Normally the packages are said that it covers maybe primary level. All these hospitals, health center chips cover that place, and they cover some particular group like the maternal health, neonatal, that you pick those out. Then the rest will create a second insurance so that then they support the system.
Let's go back to Kumasi, to KJT to be precise, and let's speak to our correspondent on the ground, Erastus Asaridonko, who is standing by. Erastus, I hope you have a much better line now.
Well, I hope you can tell me what I hear now.
Okay, it's clearer now. So you were telling us about what the traders are saying, essentially, that they feel the need to get government to intervene in what is going on now.
Okay, I hope the line is clear.
Yeah, it's clearer now. It's clearer now. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I was saying is that the traders are simply saying that they are not against the Central Market Redevelopment Project. They are not against any of it. But the problems that they do have is that they went into a meeting with the Ashanti Regional Minister, and a roadmap was set up as leading to their relocation from KJTR to allow the project to start. Now, that roadmap was not respected by the KMA board. And so they started the ongoing registration of traders without the involvement of the KJTR traders themselves. Now, they are saying they have evidence to the effect that they are registering their own cronies and not people who are trading here at the KJTR terminal. Now, they also have letters indicating that the KMA has served notice to 24 driver unions that they are going to give them dates, that is 27th, 3rd May and 27th of May, to relocate them from the KJTR terminal. And they think that is an affront to the roadmap that was set by the regional minister, and that the current KMA board is doing something differently. Let me speak with Mr. Kwate, who is an executive member, and briefly summarize for me what your feedback is.
As regards that question, all what we need is a comprehensive and a structured roadmap. A roadmap that says, okay, after we move you to the A, and from A, you stay there for like next about 2-3 years. After the project is completed, we will bring it back. In between the 2.5 years, what are the arrangements? Are we going to pay money to where you are? Or one coming back, we're also going to pay money. All these issues need to be settled and be known. Even the area. I know some human rights believe if you want to settle somebody, you settle him appropriately. Appropriately means a convenient area that the fellow can continue to do his own. What do you need from government? You are calling for. You need the government to come in and bring somebody who can back the regional minister in coming out with a good roadmap for the two of us. Because the KMA boss looks to be so powerful, and he says, oh, Kumasi belongs to him. I don't know how to get that power, but he says Kumasi belongs to him. So whatever we agree with the regional minister, he doesn't go with it. Examples are the people that he's trying to introduce in the registration. Examples are the method that we should use for registration. You name the store owner, you name the tenant, they do the fingerprint, and then come out with all the telephone numbers and addresses to suppose that they are the legitimate people But in room 4, a building belongs to the KMA. They used to come out with people who are not trading here. Some class or something. No.
Okay.
No. Well,
right.
So that's Mr. From and that's what they are saying. This is the team of the traders here.
All right, thank you very much, Erastus Asari Donko. That was my colleague Erastus Asari Donko with a member of the leadership of the KJTIA traders in that interview. Now, as part of the Mother's Day celebrations, we bring you a report on how Joy FM and Adum FM of the multimedia group of companies put a smile on the faces of mothers at an event at the Oak Plaza Hotel and Crystal Light Hospital.
Mothers of different backgrounds were given a special treat on Mother's Day by Joy FM and Adum FM to appreciate sacrifices made for the sake of their children. At the Oak Plaza, mothers speaking to Joy News intimated this was the best treat ever on a day as this.
Whatever I went through, even at this time, at times when I feel like even crying when I remember this, but today I've seen that I never did it in vain, but God has been so good unto us.
I'm a disability person, and my mother has been taking care of me up to this day. Even right now, she's taking care of me. And because of me, she suffered before she brings forth to me. So I think since I'm not working and I don't know what to give to her, if I give the kitchen set to her, I think it will be something like a mark from me to her. And then always she will remember. So I think she deserves it.
Mothers at the Crystal Light Hospital were not left out of the picture. Women were given free health screenings to ensure their journey to motherhood is as smooth as possible. They were delighted with this gift. Mother's Day is one of the most cherished celebrations across the world, considering the responsibilities that come with motherhood from pregnancy through to...
Quite interesting there. But many of you put up pictures of your mothers on your WhatsApp DP and flaunted their images on many social media platforms as your way of celebrating mothers yesterday. Now, some of you also gave us incredible stories of what others went through to get you to where you are now. A day after Mother's Day, we ask how you made Mama proud. Hanodame, how's more?
Yesterday was Mother's Day. A lot of programs were held to commemorate the occasion. A lot of you put your mother's pictures as DPs on your WhatsApp and other social media platforms. Also, you told us of the incredible stories your mothers had to go through to take care of you. A day after, I'm out here to ask, what did you do for Mama on Mother's Day?
Actually, yesterday was my dad's birthday, so we did everything together. I cooked for her jollof rice, fried chicken, made her breakfast in bed, took pictures, I took her out shopping, made her hair, makeup, shoes, everything.
How was Mommy's reaction?
She couldn't say anything. She couldn't actually drive. Her blood pressure went up.
I bought some clothes for her, and I took her to one of the biggest restaurants in Accra.
Wow, which place?
Papaya.
And is it the first time you're taking her there?
Yes.
And what was her response?
She congratulated me and she thanked me as well.
Mommy is over there in Nigeria, but all I did was call her. I told her I missed her cooking, I missed her care, I missed her love, and I called her, sent her a text message. That's all I could do for her.
Yesterday I didn't do anything. I was just lying, relaxing.
Why? Where is your mom?
Oh, unfortunately, my mom passed away. Yeah.
But don't you have any motherly figure in your life you could have done something?
I have stepmom. But yesterday it was very sunny, so it's like the doom too was part of it. So you have to relax. I mean, think about yourself and then move on.
My sister bought a phone for her for Mother's Day. So I was helping her, teaching her how to use the phone and other things.
So what exactly did you teach her? Maybe settings?
Yeah, and with using WhatsApp, how she could check her messages, call, and also her contact.
Okay, this time I had to travel right from Akwatia to Sudan, someone to visit her and also give her some money just to chill her out, you know.
Wow. Was the money very hefty?
Not so hefty, but something she can appreciate. Yeah, she was very appreciative. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't want to lose her before I realize how much worthy she is to me. Yeah, so with a little I have to spend with her. Yeah.
What exact thing did she tell you after you gave her the money and your love?
I told her Happy Mother's Day. She said same to me.
And so you heard how Kwabena and the others celebrated their mothers on Mother's Day. I hope you also did Mama proud. If you did not, it is not too late. You can send a belated wish or a present. It's not too late to plan ahead. My name is Hannah Odame for Joy News.
Okay, some very interesting comments then. Like you heard Hannah say, if you didn't do any such thing for your mother, it's still not too late. You can still get a hamper. Taking a break here. When we are back. Ghana ended last year with a 4.6% growth below government's projected 6.9%. Now for this year, government in its budget has further revised downwards the growth rate to 3.9%. A rate several analysts have criticized as low, insisting businesses will not flourish, imports will go down, and the country will generally lose investments. But head of research, Standard Chartered Bank Group, Razia Khan, is optimistic and explains Ghana's growth will not fall off the cliff given a strengthened fiscal stance.
There are important developments still in the hydrocarbon sector. There is the completion of the gas infrastructure and what that might potentially mean for the power sector. I'm not convinced necessarily that credit growth in Ghana has shown any impact as a result of recent tightening efforts. The credit growth numbers still seem to be fairly robust. So it's not necessarily that clear-cut that growth in Ghana is going to fall off a cliff, so to speak. But I think we've got to carefully assess the growth that is possible. Even if we don't see a big impact in the near term, we've got to look at the longer term trade-offs that have been created. Essentially, if Ghana is to engage in fiscal excess now, given its debt situation, it will be trading off a lot of future potential, a lot of that future growth, a lot of that long-term growth for very short-term wins that ultimately don't account for very much. It's important to get the policy equation right. There's a lot to be said for the extent of revisions to the growth statistics, and this is something that is going to be looked at very carefully. But one thing we do need to take on board, growth is not just about what the government is doing. If the private sector could get a shot in the arm in terms of confidence because of what they see as the macroeconomic stabilization effort, that should help offset some of the drag impact of the fiscal consolidation. Investor confidence could go some way in supporting some elements of growth that otherwise the Ghanaian economy might not see because the government is forced to cut back on spending.
A Ghanaian economist based in South Africa has lauded Ghana's effort at embracing public-private partnership as a development model, which he says has potentials for expansion. Joe Bano, who is Senior Associate and PPP Advisor at Genesis Analytics Practice, says the country must establish workable structures to attract more investments for bigger projects. He was speaking at the Global Conference on Public-Private Partnership in Kumasi.
According to Mr. Bano, the perception that public-private partnership is an easy way to develop public infrastructure is deceptive, explaining that building institutional capacity on technical, managerial, and financial fronts is very key in achieving results. He says governments must focus on establishing capacity to identify structure and procure projects.
PPPs are seen as an easy way for the public sector to procure infrastructure, and it's not always the case. You can't structure a PPP for a small-scale infrastructure project quite well, but most of them require some institutional capacity, both in terms of technical, managerial, and some financial capacity, and this is where the government must focus.
Meanwhile, Director at Synergy Global, Michael Kobler, is welcoming banks to come on board to galvanize other private sector partners to fund PPP projects.
Even though PPP has a long gestation, 15 years, 25 years, as banks in this country, they must be able to galvanize other financing institutions because they have a balance sheet and they have credibility. So if they partner with private sector sources, they can put funding requirements together to be able to meet this long-term.
today. My name is Benedict Owusu. Let's talk sports now. And the big story now is that Schalke have terminated the contract of Ghana international Kevin Prince Boateng with immediate effect in what looks to be a disciplinary measures by the club. Also sacked was Sydney Sam, who joined the club this season after an impressive period with Bayer Leverkusen, but failed to live up to his price tag. Now, in a statement released on the club's website that Schalke 04, and I read, Schalke sporting director Horst Heitz announced there would be consequences after Sunday's defeat away to FC Cologne, and the action has been taken. Now, Kevin Prince Boateng and Sydney Sam have been released with immediate effect. Marco Huga is suspended from training and first team action up to and including Saturday 16 May. Boateng's future had already been up in the air after an injury-riddled and inconsistent season with the Royal Blues, leading to him losing his place in the first team to Max Meyer, and he will now be available for free in the transfer window. Now, Boateng joined Schalke in 2013 after a successful career with AC Milan and was a shining light for the team in his first season as he contributed goals and assists to go with his hefty pay package, reported to be around 8 million euros a year. He suffered a poor World Cup in 2014 in Brazil, where he was sacked for abusing Black Stars, the then Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah. So away from Kevin Prince Boateng, back home, former Accra Hearts of Oak coach, that's Mohamed Polo, says his predecessor, that's Herbert Addo, have struggled and had been for the solid foundation he laid before being fired. Now, according to Polo, who took charge from David Duncan last season, the current success of Hearts of Oak in the ongoing CAF Confederation Cup is as a result of his good works.
From the younger ones, and that is where I feel that these boys are missing me. But it's part of it. Even the prophet came to do his work, and his time comes that he has to die and go.
Does that mean Herbert Addo now is not doing anything? He's only, enjoying what you left?
No, he has to enjoy, because that is what must happen. Somebody must work and somebody to continue. It's a continuation, and that felt on him. So he's making the best out of it. But of course, when he came, he was, he decided to have some, because I did not even have to recruit players. What I had there, that is why the younger ones, a lot of them came in. You understand? I came in when there was a lot of problems with the players, especially senior ones. Those who were genuinely sick, those who were pretenders. But I didn't care. I said, no, let me concentrate and do the job.
So that was former Hearts of Oak coach Mohamed Polo. He actually took over from David Duncan, and Herbert Addo, who is now coach of Accra Hearts of Oak, took over from the man you just heard, you just watched on your screens, that's Mohamed Ahmed Polo. While from Accra Hearts of Oak, let's focus on Kumasi Asante Kotoko. And their head coach David Duncan believes his side can defend the first Capital Plus Premier League title despite their current position on the league log. Now, Kotoko finished 5th after winning 5, drawing 7 and losing 3 of their 15 matches played in the first half of the season. For many, their inconsistency in this season's league will cost them the title, but Coach Duncan says they can keep the chase on current leaders Ashanti Gold.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Why not? It depends on a number of factors that are completely out of my control. Okay. You understand? I mean, we will be focusing on our games and ensure that we win our games. But, from the backdrop of where the team was before I picked it up, if everything goes according to, all things being equal, what it means, even if we win our games and things stay the way they are with other clubs, I mean, the consistency with which they win, what it means is that positions will not change. Will not change, yeah. You understand? So we will just have to be focusing on our results, ensure that and then let's see what, the results at other centers or other places also, turn out to be.
So that was Kumasi Asante Kotoko head coach David Duncan. That's it for me, Benedict Owusu. We're going for a short commercial break. Chenchen returns with the rest of the news.
Residents of Tama Community 4 are at loggerheads with the Tama Metropolitan Assembly over plans to develop a community park. The irate residents have formed an association known as the Concerned Community 4 Republican Electoral Area and say they are willing to lay down their lives to ensure that the planned sale of the park is aborted. The residents embarked on a demonstration yesterday to protest what they described as the encroachment of public land. One of the community leaders, Erasmus Kwao, spoke to Joy News on the issue.
For a long time, this land has been for the residents, and as we have stated already, it's an assembly for emergency exit. It's an assembly for any other thing. We have been having our funerals. We are having a birthday. A lot I have stated to this executive of Tama. So before having this land, there has been a lot of hullabaloo about it. Once it was owned by the urban health, urban center, road and urban center. They were burning ties, and the fumes and whatever comes there, it was hazardous for us. So I, as a consent chairman, had to stop this somewhere back in the 90s. Not only to understand this very time when a student, the late Atani concept, he said they are come to make abstract in the Tama Township. So we, the consent citizens, were informed. Now, members also confronted the chief executive, where he said they'll be only working for 6 men. Now, look the time of the expiry of our late president Atani. Calculate and see how many men. Not only to hear it is what alleged, but we don't care whether alleged or not. We want our car hotel pass for our various activities, as we have stated. And then the parties, assemblies, a disaster zone, a lot. A lot. Come and see our car parks now. Come and see park in the curve over there. We wrote a letter. This is 1 man, 2 days. The chief executive. We have not been able to see the chief executive. Only be seeing the PRO or whatever it is. To tell us it's in the pipeline. We have to bypass the PRO that shared information to went to the engineer. The engineer said he doesn't know anything about it. He's now resumed to office, but he was sick, and that he would write it. To you, for understanding, he never wrote it. The same very day, about a week and a half or so, we saw members coming to survey. Prior to that, they have come to survey the land more than 5 or 6 times. It was confirmed that it was sent by the engineer, that engineer. Now we have few people having churches over there, and you know, churches are not just bring up just like that, but the consent of the assemblyman within the electoral area and the assembly, they have been given chance. So they happen to serve as a red light because we have alleged again that within next week they are to move. So this was the response to our letter that, oh, if you are rating you and you want to know what is going and you are going to tell you, the moment they evacuate this land, job business over there, they will think they are going to take the land.
So have you made your checks with the Lands Commission to check that the land is in your name?
No, I don't think we need with the Land Commission because the assembly being the authority, as an assemblyman by a bylaw, the land has been a recreation center since we were born.
Right.
The land we have been used. And I told you, this CMA don't get up and vote on it because the authority street pavement and life. In the time of Pierre as the presiding member, all these things, it is gathered that work outside the residential area. This is how we stop it.
So do you have documents to support your claims?
Yeah, I have documents. If they go to archives of the assembly, I, as a speak, was then assemblyman for Commission 1, the largest electoral area in Tama and practically in Ghana.
Right.
So here, the presiding member are those references to be made. Citizens over here know that how we stop the quota. And this is how we started definitely. The Ben Campy, the chief executive who came, who is now not more, we had to meet him face to face. 3 of them were made, and we assure him we want our land. It's only 6 men. Yeah.
In the case where your demands or your request is not granted, what will be your next line of action?
Now we intend seeing the Legna, the contractor who was being given, to remove that few structures over there. After tomorrow, we are putting banners by this land, change the banner system, and we just make demonstrating, and we are 10 members individual quarters back against the student because they have not been able to answer it. We want answer yes or no.
We can now go to Tama now. Let's speak to our correspondent on this beat. We want to know the very latest on this particular story. My colleague Felix Akoyam is standing by with much more. So, Felix, what's the latest on this?
Yeah, essentially, these are concerned residents at Tama Community for, and they're saying that a park that they've been using as a recreational, center and also an emergency converging center. The assembly, the Tama District Assembly has prevented them from using this park the last 5 years, and they are unhappy about that. They are saying that they've also tried to petition the MC. They've tried to, all efforts to get access to the MC to channel their grievances to him, but all their efforts have proved futile, and they are now saying that they are going to force their way out to use this facility, whether the assembly likes it or not.
I see. Felix, maybe you could speak up a bit when you're answering. Now, what I would want to know, so what's the state of the facility now? Is it open? Is it barricaded in any way? Is there access to it? And are people even using it?
It's fenced now, and it's locked. But when we went there, there's a Nissan Terrano parked there and an old Golf. There's also a big tank. There are wooden structures on it and some gravels there. But according to the residents,
Libya has criticized EU proposals to authorize the use of force against people smugglers taking migrants across the Mediterranean to Europe. The Libyan ambassador to the UN says the EU's intentions were unclear and very worrying. The EU is seeking a UN mandate to allow military action to destroy or halt smugglers' boats in Libyan waters. The measures are part of the EU's proposed plans to stop migrants drowning in the Mediterranean. The UN estimates that 60,000 people have already tried to cross the Mediterranean this year. Well, that'll be it for JN Today. Before we go now, a quick recap of our top stories. Chief Executive Officer of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission admits measuring worker productivity against pay should have been considered before implementing the single spine pay policy. President of the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs, Naba Sirigi Bewong, says the Regional House of Chiefs failed in dealing with matters leading to the current chieftaincy tension in Bolgatanga. Governance and security analyst urges President Mahama to consult with committee responsible for exequatur before seeking to abolish emoluments for Article 71 holders. Well, that'll be it for this hour. For more news, do well to log on to myjonline.com. My name is Kobna Chenchen. Have a good afternoon.